Okay, this is how you make an LLC in Florida. Um, so it's actually pretty easy. You pretty much just go to this website, sunbiz.org. Yeah, sunbiz.org, and then it'll bring you here. And then you go to start a business. And I'm going to go through this fast and then pause when you're at the step, start e-filing LLC. So if you don't know what company you need to start, there's an LLC, there's an S corp, and there's a C corp. If you don't know which one, that means that you need to do an LLC. That's what that means. Okay. Um, like C corps are like for going public. If you're like a super serious business, if you have less than 100 employees, it's like 99% an LLC. Okay, so start a business LLC. Um, this is like shockingly easy, but there are things you need to pay attention to. Okay, so if you want to, you can click on here. This is great. Instructions for filing the articles of organization. So when you start a company, like starting an LLC, what does that mean? That means that you're filling out an articles of organization, this articles of organization, and you're sending it to the state. So if you click here, it will bring you to the forms. We're going to do them. And the forms we're going to fill out are filling out the form for the articles of organization. And that's the thing. Once you fill out an articles of organization and you send it to the state, then you now have an LLC. So that's what this does. File or correct Florida LLC articles of organization. Okay. Uh, so yeah, so this is to create an LLC. So you're over here. You haven't made one to correct yet, which you can always correct. So it's not too bad. It's just a pain in the butt to correct, but you can correct it. Um, Okay, so then if it's like November or December, go ahead and put the first of next year. Don't start it in November or December, because whatever year you start in, you have to file corporate taxes for that year, which isn't that big of a deal. It's just like a little bit harder than doing your own taxes, but like not that much. It's not like 10 times harder. Like you probably should have a corporate attorney, like, or sorry, a CPA, like look over it. Um, but yeah, so we're in the middle of the year, plenty of time. It's not that bad. So you don't really need a certificate of status. That's just kind of like an update. A certified copy is nice. That just gives you a certified copy of your articles of organization. That's what this whole thing is the articles of organization. Um, then you can bring it to a bank when you open for a checking account or a credit card or both. Um, so then my startup LLC, you got to put the LLC afterwards. Principal place of business. So for me, I just put my home address for all these. So home address, home city, Florida, uh, that, and then US, and then the same as mailing address. These things are kind of like surprisingly simple. Okay, so a registered agent. So if you're like a big company, if you have like 500 people, then a registered agent is like a lawyer. It's essentially like an executive assistant, paralegal sort of person who will make sure that like, oh, the blank division got some important legal paperwork that they need to deal with. So I'm going to forward this immediately to like the water and garden department. Like, oh, someone's waterfall blew up. Like like whatever. Um, but you are just like a person, super small person, 1 to 10 people. So you are the registered agent. That is you. You are the person who is going to receive all the legal paperwork for the entire company. So then you just put um, last name, first name, your first and last name. Okay, first. Yeah, my name's Peter, by the way. And middle, middle initial. And then if you have a title, junior, senior. Um, and then, yeah, business, but you're not hiring a business, so you just do this, and then you have to put your address. So home, home, home. Uh, that's the, I don't know, it probably doesn't matter. So then your signature, so it's your name, your name. You just type in your name because you are the registered. A lot of these formalities are for much larger companies. For single person LLCs, they really don't because you're doing it all. Um, okay, so other provision, purpose statements. So this is not important in an immediate legal sense. This is like your vision statement. So my startup LLC, whatever the name of this company is, aims to provide X good or service, keeping in mind Y and Z with K company culture. Obviously don't Mad Libs that, but that is like the basic kind of ideas that you try to do, and you try to keep it like a couple of sentences, like pretty, but you try to give like the 2 sentence elevator pitch of what your company is doing and why it deserves to exist. Um, so notice of annual report. So if you start, we're actually this is like the second to last thing. We're pretty much there. So notice of annual report. So if you have an LLC, there's only 2 things that you're required to do for all LLCs. One is the annual report, which you send to the state. So you send the annual report to the Division of Corporations, the Florida Division of Corporations. So the annual report doesn't go to the federal government, it doesn't go to the IRS, it just stays at your local state, and you have to do it every year, and you have to pay $138 for them to assess your annual report every year. So that is something you have to do, and that's just like part of doing business. It's essentially like if you were like doing like a checkbook, like keeping track of all your transactions. You essentially have to make an income statement and a balance sheet and send that to the state. And you got to do it, otherwise they'll get you a late fee. And that's just it's just yeah, you just do it, like whatever, like it's fine. Um, so that's one. There's 2 things you have to do every single year for an LLC. One is the state annual report. That's this. And then the second one is corporate taxes, which you file to the IRS. And then that is pretty much just what it sounds. It's pretty much just the same as like your tax return. Um, and then there's just like an extra little item. But by default, all of the profits and losses of the business will pass through to your personal tax return. That's the default, right? For the people who just have like, a single person LLC, or like if they're doing consulting, it just passes through to their personal tax return. Um, so yeah, that's something. Watch some YouTube videos about it, but it's pretty much just you just have a second tax return that links to your personal tax return. That's the high level idea. Okay, so then for the annual report, um, okay, so this is just your personal, like your name, your email, so that they can contact you and be like, hey, like you remember to file your annual report, and various other little things, but they really won't send much at all. So your name, your email, so email@email.com, email@email.com. Uh, yeah, and then you are the authorized, so your name. But I hope that this form isn't too smart and it recognizes all that. Okay, so okay, this is the last part. Okay, so name and address of persons authorized to manage the LLC. So if there's things you can do, you can create like classes of participants. So you can create like a member. Like you can say like, hey, this person in the LLC is just a member. This person in the LLC is a manager, and managers have more authority and privileges on the LLC than members do. So when you're starting for just the initial, just put one manager and just put yourself. Say that it's they'll say like manager managed, or member managed. Those are nuances that you should ask ChatGPT about, but right now it doesn't really matter. 100% of the time, you're going to want to put yourself uh, uh, as the manager and as a sole manager. And unless you're purposely forming this with someone else for a specific venture, then you guys can negotiate that. Um, First, middle initial, and then you just enter your home, home address, home address, city, um, yeah. And then you would just do the second person, the third person, the fourth person. Like let's say that all four of you, the a fifth person, if all of you were buying an apartment complex together, you would, negotiate all these rules. But if you're just, starting, you can just do this. Um, oh, okay. It actually didn't. Okay, I didn't do anything wrong. If you do anything wrong, it'll just bring you to like a super basic HTML page, and it'll be like, hey, like you didn't put your email address and blah blah blah. And then you just click the back. It'll say like click the back button to fix it. Um, so then yeah, you just review everything. This is your articles of organization. It'll Mad Libs the articles of organization. You click continue. And it's just like, yeah, please review this because you're actually going to submit it the next time you click the button, so, um, so, so if you click, I'm not going to click continue, because I don't want to submit this, obviously. Um, but then the next window will bring you to a payment portal and you can enter your credit card. Um, and then, yeah, before this, I suggest getting an email address, like your first name at yourstartup.com. Whatever your startup name is, try to find it on GoDaddy, because that's always nice. Then it's just easier. And you can enter that on the email addresses on the previous page. And then that's it. You just enter your credit card information, and then you wait a week and a half, and then you will get an email dictating, saying all these things, and then your LLC articles of organization, which is the thing we just set up, that will then be available on sunbiz.org. So you can just go to sunbiz.org and see the startup there. You can just search it by name. So hopefully that was helpful. Yeah, and everyone should just go start a business. Like it's just a good idea just to have that and to start to think through these things. Like that's yeah, I think that like everybody should do this. Like it's great. And everybody benefits the more businesses that are created. Like America needs it and you'll be better off too. Okay, great. Hope you enjoyed. Hope that was helpful. Yeah, and I'm Peter Davidian. I don't know how to flip the screen. I'm just using QuickTimer, or quick QuickTime Player. Okay, see you later, everyone. Bye.